We just went over the pen and paper approach, and we talked about recapping your conversation before you go into your presentation. So now we're going into section number 7, which is own the performance. Your presentation is a performance. This is the point in the phone call where you will begin to talk about how your service and your product will now solve that problem. You must never talk about features or benefits of what you're actually selling until you know without a doubt that it applies to the prospect. See, talking about features or benefits before the presentation or the performance, what it does is it invites objections and resistance from the prospect, and it actually turns that phone call into one that's transactional and it's not a relationship anymore. The prospect should buy you before your performance and before your presentation. See, the prospect should be buying you and not the product or service that you're selling way before you get into your performance or your presentation. We buy from people that we trust and that we feel we have a connection to. A sales rock star does not wait until the presentation to start getting a buying commitment from the prospect. They get buying commitments before they actually go into their presentation or their demonstration. A sales rock star is a master at creating the sale. See, a sales rock star creates the sale instead of just sitting back and expecting to take an order. If you want the phone call to feel like a lifetime relationship, you must ditch that salesy pitch and make it a conversation all about the prospect. See, when a sales lounge act starts talking about features and benefits right away, what they're doing is they're making it all about them and not about the prospect. The prospect can actually tell that the salesperson is just wanting to get a sale and not wanting to actually get to know them. Be aware of the prospect that wants the performance right away. So you're going to have prospects that are going to try to get you to talk about features and benefits right away. I want to let you know that's normal, so don't fall into this trap and get easily offended by it. You must deflect the conversation when a prospect asks you for the performance right away and go back to your process of discovery. See, the more that you make it about the prospect and not about the product or service, it's going to actually move you closer to a relationship selling instead of further away from transactional selling. One thing I want you to be aware of is that it's not the prospect's fault if they want the performance or the presentation right away. See, it's not the prospect's fault if they want the features and benefits right away, because we're all conditioned as human beings to think transactionally when it comes to sales. See, we all live in a transactional world. If you, the salesperson, also treat it like a transaction, the prospect, we've talked about this before, can just replace you with another transactional salesperson. A sales rock star knows that if they start to treat it like a transaction and not a relationship, they're going to be replaceable. If a salesperson starts talking about the features and the benefits right away, it becomes very hard to convince the prospect that you're going to actually be the solution to their problem. You must have what I call the relationship mindset. If you want to stand out in a world that's so transactional, you must change your mindset. You must have the mindset that the solution to the prospect's problem is never the service or the product that you're selling. The solution is you. See, when the prospect buys your product or your service, they get something much more valuable than the product or the service. They're actually getting you. See, develop a mindset that starts by selling you first and not the product or service that you're actually selling. See, if the prospect buys you, they're going to buy whatever you're selling. That's a key that sales rock stars understand. A sales rock star knows that if the prospect buys into them, they're going to buy whatever they're actually selling. If the prospect wants to talk about features and benefits right away, you must have a rule in place that violates that request from the prospect. Your rule must be that you have to have a full discovery process completed first before you ever go into your presentation or your performance. If you violate that rule, you are giving up control to the prospect, and this will not provide you the best chance at closing that deal. See, what the process does is it creates consistency. See, if you want to own your sales performance, it must be the same for every prospect that you talk to over the phone. The Sales Rockstar has developed just one sales presentation that is delivered to each prospect the exact same way and is predictable every single time. Someone that sits next to a Sales Rockstar should be able to listen to their presentation or their performance and know exactly what's happening and where that conversation is actually going. If you were to listen to several phone calls of the same sales rock star, they will all start to sound the same because it's not conversational, it's actually directional. The sales rock star owns the performance. See, the presentation has a set of steps that the sales rock star follows that become the same on every single sales phone call. If the salesperson has 3 topics that they need to discuss on the phone call about their product or service, they're going to break up that presentation into 3 separate compartments that they have to go over. The sales rock star will make sure to perfect how they deliver each topic to the customer in that compartment and make the call flow like a well-rehearsed storyline. It's all about making sure to deliver a performance that simplifies the process and keeps that customer engaged with you every step of the way. Every prospect should have the exact same experience with you. It's all about the experience. See, if every prospect has the exact same experience with the sales rockstar, that will create a consistent sales process that's actually duplicatable for you from one call to the next. You want to develop a sales process that's cookie cutter, but it doesn't sound cookie cutter. See, the best salespeople know where they're always going on the phone call because they have a process in place that they've practiced until they have actually perfected it. See, the prospect can feel when they're talking to a sales rock star that the sales rock star knows what they're doing for their business when it comes to their actual insurance. I want to talk to you about a duplicatable process according to McDonald's. See, when you think about a cookie cutter and duplicatable process that has been very successful, the company that comes to mind is McDonald's. See, Ray Kroc was a salesperson, a visionary that was so impressed with the limited menu of burgers and fries and beverages that he felt the process could be duplicatable as a franchise. He envisioned that every customer experience would be the same no matter where that person lived in the world. Each meal would be delivered and the taste would be the same and predictable every single time. Just like McDonald's, you must create a consistent sales process that's duplicatable from one phone call to the next with that prospect. See, use stories and examples during your sales performance. See, during the sales performance, use stories and examples that will help the prospect relate to how your service or product will actually end up solving their problem. The stories and examples that you tell should be well thought out and be the same for every single prospect. See, your presentation should be consistent down to the same stories and the same examples that you go over with every single prospect. Use the same stories and examples for every performance so that your sales presentation is actually cookie cut and everyone gets the exact same experience. This allows you as a salesperson to focus on perfecting the performance for your audience. A sales rock star is an actor that's delivering a performance over the phone. I want you to think of yourself like an actor on Broadway. See, an actor on Broadway gets up during every performance and they recite the exact same lines. If the actors are reciting the exact same lines repeatedly, why doesn't it sound boring? It's because they're treating each show as an individual performance and making it all about the audience member. A sales rock star will approach the phone call and the presentation with the exact same enthusiasm and mindset. This, to a sales rock star, is a performance. A sales rock star will develop one sales presentation and they'll memorize it. See, the sales rock star has learned to develop just one sales presentation that is memorized and delivered to every prospect the exact same way and is predictable every single time. See, if you want to make sure that you do not have to think about what you will say next during your presentation, you must memorize your presentation until it becomes a story to you. See, a sales rock star is an actor that is delivering the performance of a lifetime over the phone to each individual prospect.